It's Felicia Bender, the Practical Numerologist, and today we are going to talk about the best advice for the 5 life path. I'm going to give you 3 bullet points, 3 things. If there's only 3 things that a 5 life path should know, these would be it. I mean, I'm overstating, I guess, or understating. There's plenty to know, but these would be good things to know early on in your 5 life path adventure. And I would also like to say that if you're someone who's astrologically inclined, perhaps, and watch astrology videos where they talk about sun, moon, rising, that sort of thing, the same thing applies here with numerology. If you find that a 5 shows up as a significant player in your numerology chart, whether it's the 5 life path, the destiny or expression number, the soul urge, maybe it's the day of birth, birthday, any 5 that shows up in that capacity, you can glean some good information from these 3 points of advice. All right, so here we go. We're going to make this short and sweet. So, the best advice for the 5 life path. The first would be to explore how to learn ways to train the brain and the body to focus and prioritize. Something I find over and over and over again with 5s, with 5 life paths particularly, but even for people who have 5 as a significant placement in their numerology chart, is that there is a wiring, I mean, a physical uh, a physical brain, all of that kind of wiring, the way you come in, which is more sensitive, more sparky, more. And what I will say is a lot of 5s have ADHD, other issues around prioritizing, around focusing, that sort of thing. I love, if you are a 5 and you have not looked at some of Trevor Noah's videos or interviews or whatever about this, about how significant it was when he found out that he has ADHD. He's an 8 life path, and I'm not sure the rest of his numbers, but it certainly applies to the point I'm attempting to make here, which is the 5 often doesn't realize that you are, pinging and ponging and dealing with things in a different way, and that in some ways that is always going to be there. It is a gift that you have, and yet it will be much more successful and results driven for you if you can really make an effort to learn tools to empower the mind, empower that kind of focus, to learn the tools. There are hacks, there are tools to learn how to prioritize things. I love what Trevor Noah says. He says, people with ADHD, it's not that they can't focus. What happens is that they can't choose what to focus on, or they can't make that choice themselves. It's like the choice, the priority picks them. And so, if that's the case with the 5, which I do find it's often the case, is that it's very hard to land somewhere for very long, right? So if you can learn some powerful tools and to understand your brain and how it works that way, you will be light years ahead in your 5 life path. All right, advice nugget number 2 is to find your spiritual practice. Whether it's meditation, yoga, energy work, virtually anything that speaks to you. And usually with a 5, it's going to be all the above plus some. So I honestly find that the highest octave for the 5 is the ultimate spiritual freedom. And a lot of 5s are drawn into the world of metaphysics in some way, shape, or form. And often it starts out not there at all, right? And the life of the 5 is meant to be this incredible amazing exploration. So often I find that fives will start out, as alcoholics, as drug addicts, as this, as that. And I'm not saying, all my point is that they'll go from one extreme, not all fives, I'm just using an extreme example, from there over into this pretty heightened, mature spiritual practice. So if a five can dig into that earlier rather than later, that is a bonus. Okay, the third nugget of advice for the five is to learn how to manage and discipline your sensitivities slash excesses while also allowing yourself to explore. Because what I find is that the thing that fives don't understand about themselves is that you are incredibly sensitive to sounds, to smells, to the way things touch, and the way you touch it and feel it, to substances. Often fives are drawn to drugs and yet are extremely sensitive to drugs, drawn to alcohol, extremely sensitive to alcohol. So it comes this experiential place of learning about that and then withdrawing from that, and then I've had a lot of fives who go, yeah, I, haven't had a drink in a year, and I had a drink, and oh my gosh, I broke out in a rash, and there's this sensitivity that gets covered up by the substances until you experience it and get out of that, if that makes sense. So what I'm attempting to say is that this is a very powerful tool for a five, is to understand first and foremost that you have these extraordinary sensitivities. And fives are all about how it feels to you every second of the day. It's like, oh, how's it, and it's not conscious usually, but how does this feel to me, with me, for me? And a lot of times fives will bounce around because it's like, I don't feel like doing that today. I don't feel like getting up and exercising because I just don't feel like it right now. And then to learn instead some tools where, yeah, sometimes it's great to listen to, maybe your body does need some rest. And yet sometimes your body does need to get up and go and do that thing that you might immediately, think, no, I can't do it. So fives have that propensity that is kind of built in. And when you can recognize that and balance that or harmonize that, you are an incredibly powerful conduit for this ever changing, ever adventurous soul that you are here to be.